Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, The Last Kingdom, Season 4, Episode 3. Let's quickly go over what happened last episode because it was a lot. I was not expecting the actual, I guess you could say, attack or sack of Bebbanburg to happen that quickly into the season, but it happened last episode and it played out fairly quickly. That is my only gripe that I would say that I have. But I don't know because I haven't watched this episode. It could go on for a little bit longer. But it kind of annoyed me that Uhtred didn't truly get his revenge. But I guess that lines up with a lot of things on this show because there have been moments where I'm like, oh my god, I'm so pissed off. One of those being when Aethelwald killed Ragnar with the help of Canute. And now we see Canute just living his life with Brida like nothing happened. Rita's literally having his child and doesn't even know that he was complicit in Ragnar's death. So there are moments on this show where I'm like, I'm not getting what I want, but it's not necessarily bad. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing about the show. It's just I wish that Uhtred got his revenge on his uncle instead of his, who would that be, his cousin? Yeah, his cousin. I mean, we didn't even know that his cousin existed until last episode when he just showed up and was like, here dad, I'm actually alive, I didn't drown, and I have 20 more men to give you, or was it 40? I don't even remember, but it's a lot of men, and those are loyal men, so that explains why when Uhtred held the knife to his uncle's throat and said, I'm the true heir of Bebbanburg, nobody was into that. Nobody wanted that to happen, because once you have one ruler there, it doesn't matter how they got the throne. If they've been ruling there for 20 plus years, those people are going to be loyal to the person who's been ruling for 20 plus years over the person who just randomly comes in and says that they own it, no matter how correct they are. Uhtred does have the right to that throne, but at the end of the day, the power lies in the people, and if the people don't want you to be in power, it's not going to happen unless you force it, and Uhtred is just not like that. My concern is what's going to happen to them now that this has all happened. Are they just going to be imprisoned? Are they going to be slaves? Are they going to flee? Are they going to find a way out? I don't know. I wanted to keep my recap short. That's basically what's been going down with everything. Beocca and young Uhtred are with Uhtred. Don't know how. I hope young Uhtred doesn't die because I think there's a lot of potential with his story specifically. With Uhtred, I think that's going to be like a redemption arc, I guess, in terms of Uhtred being a father, because he hasn't really been a good father. He hasn't had the chance to be a good father. So maybe this will be his redemption with his son. So yeah, I feel like that's really everything that's been going down in that storyline. That's like the most interesting storyline to me right now. With everything else, Edward is being influenced by Ethelhelm. That's basically all you need to know. He's being influenced by him. Elswith has been talking to Edward's first wife and their kid, Athelstan, who apparently has some claim over the throne, which is going to be an issue that I think is going to be taken care of. That is my long-term prediction. I hope that doesn't happen because that's really fucked up and that's sad. But knowing Ethelhelm and knowing that Edward now has a kid with, what's her name, Aelfled, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a huge issue because nobody knows about it right now, but what's going to happen when people find out about it? I'm going to stop talking and get into the episode because I really want to get into it. So without further ado, let's get into episode 3. First, I want to point out how much I've been enjoying this season, even though major tragedy struck this episode. I have been enjoying this season so far. It's been really fucking good. Like, I don't know if you guys agree, but this might be my favorite season, or it's building up to be my favorite season so far just in terms of its intensity. I didn't realize how much I would be affected by everything happening. I mean, Beocca's death, obviously, I didn't predict that because I feel like the show basically just led up to that with Beocca deciding not to go and then last minute deciding to go. I was like, okay, it seems like he's saving himself from Elswith and her wrath, but really what he was doing was bringing himself into Uhtred's battle that he really wasn't prepared for. Yes, he's a warrior. He's proven himself to be a warrior and a fighter and a capable fighter at that, but he was not prepared. He just was not ready for that. And his whole goal was to coach Uhtred and have him be a better father and really repair that bond between Uhtred and young Uhtred, but he can't do that now. So now Uhtred realizes this, and I hope that he realizes that Beocca really wanted that to happen, and for the sake of Beocca, for his memory, he should really try to work on his relationship with his son. And we've seen that this episode. We saw growth this episode with their relationship already. I mean, we saw young Uhtred, I should say, was all in with the plan. He believes in his dad. They were talking about Gisla a little bit, and that really bonded them. And now he's all in. And with Finan's help, because Finan kind of gave him a little talk, and he was like, everything that Uhtred did was for his family and was for what he believed to be right. He wouldn't take any action or do things that he didn't believe were just or right. So I think young Uhtred is finally understanding this, and he's not believing whatever he was hearing his whole life, what he was poisoned to believe. Now he finally sees it for himself, and he sees his father, and he sees how affected he was by Beocca's death. And I think it was a little bit of a wake-up call for him in realizing that Uhtred truly does fight for the ones that he loves and fights for what is right. So now, with Beocca's death, Uhtred has even more fuel to add to that fire to take back Bebbanburg. Because first I was like, yeah, I'm really down for this cause. It's been leading up, the entire show has been leading up to Bebbanburg, but the actual sack of Bebbanburg was underwhelming. I mean, fucking Uhtred didn't even get what he wanted, which was to kill his uncle, which was to kill Aelfric. He didn't come back with Beocca. Beocca ended up dying. So it really was a failure in every aspect. So hopefully this adds some fuel to that fire, and he goes back a second time, maybe towards the end of the season. That's like how they're going to end the season. And he finally takes it back and kills the shit out of, I don't know what his name is, Widgar? I think his name is Windgar? Is it Windgar? Or Widgar? I don't know. It's something along those lines, but he sucks. With everything else happening, I'm going to try to get over Beocca's death. I think it's also because Beocca was just there since episode 1. Like, we saw him really grow up with Uhtred. Or we saw him be a mentor to Uhtred and a father. He was literally Uhtred's father. He was his father figure. And I think that's why it hurts so much, because he's been around for so long. This would be like losing Uhtred. This is like losing such a big character. This is losing one of the OG characters that we've had since season 1, episode 1. So it's going to take a little bit to get over it. But like I was saying this episode, maybe they'll incorporate him, maybe not this season, but next season, if Uhtred is having hallucinations or visions, maybe Beocca will come speak to him, or he'll see him in his dreams, like he was saying about Gisla. He sees Gisla in his dreams. Maybe he'll see Beocca in his dreams, and we'll see a little thing of that. I just hope that we get a little bit more of Beocca. I don't think he deserved the death that he went out with. That was a brutal death. It just happened so quickly, as do most of the deaths on this show. Happened very not expected, just out of nowhere. So even though it was building up to Beocca possibly dying and not being prepared for what he was getting himself into, it still crushed me, and I don't think I'm going to be over it for a while. The fact that it happened so early on in the season 2 sucks, because now I feel like we're just going to get these scenes, these flashback scenes, and I'm just going to cry even more, and Uhtred is going to cry even more, and it's just, I hope that something like this doesn't cloud his head. Right after his death, it seemed like it definitely was, which is reasonable, but I hope that Uhtred has a solid head on his shoulders now. Now he has even more fucked up information in his head with knowing that Canute was complicit in Ragnar's death. So I don't know what he's going to do with that information, but I'm sure that mentally fucked him up, because he was not expecting to hear that. And I don't think Haston had any reason to lie. In Uhtred's eyes, I don't think he would believe that Haston had any reason to lie. So he's got a lot going on in his head. So hopefully he's clear-headed enough to defend Ethelfled and Mercia. I mean, the Danes are right there. They're knocking at the door. So they want to take Ethelfled. They don't even know that, at least I don't think they know, that Canut's sons are with Uhtred as hostages, so it seems like they have pretty similar amounts of men. I'm not sure about fighting men in Mercia, but maybe they'll be able to hold them off. It seems like Elswith is taking action now too, to get some more men on the fighting side of Ethelfled, because did Edward say he was gonna say, he didn't say he was gonna send his people. You would think that the son of somebody so great and so logical with his decision making would be the same, and I also thought that Edward was super young, but he's not. He's been king for quite some time now, and he's still allowing whatever his name is, what is his name? Ethelhelm, to influence him. Why? Why can't you make decisions yourself? I feel like Alfred prepared him pretty well, and had Elswith seen to Beocca and Uhtred being his advisors, maybe he would have been a little bit more rational in his decision making. I'm sorry if there are some Edward fans out there, and I understand that there is both sides to everything, and there might be some logic into his decision making and his thought process, but I'm just not seeing it right now, I guess. I think I'm just so pissed and so salty at Edward because he didn't send men to help Uhtred, and the reason why Beocca died, or maybe he could have been saved, is because Uhtred didn't have enough men. If Uhtred had had more men, maybe that wouldn't have happened. It would have gone down the way we would have liked. But now that it did happen, Beocca died, Uhtred has the motivation, or even more motivation, to eventually get back to Bebbanburg and take it ferociously. So I don't know how that's going to happen, how he's going to get the people for that, but right now, the main goal, Danes are coming to knock at the door, and he's got to defend Ethelfled. So I'm going to shut up and get right into the next episode and take a fucking breather, because that was a lot. Emotionally, that was a lot. If this season is anything like this episode in terms of emotions, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But yeah, those are all my thoughts. As always, thank you guys for watching. Check out my other reactions if you have not already, and I will see you guys for episode 4. Alright, bye guys.